Hello everyone, welcome to Excel Highway. In today's video I want to share with you how you can create a tracker for your average grocery cost per month. So this is something I saw online, someone asking, and I decided, hey, why don't I just create it and share with people that want to do it. So if you like to be able to track your actual spend versus a budget, track your monthly expenses, track them by category, track them by the actual store, and basically whatever other analysis you want to perform. I'll show you how you can build this on your own and implement it and add your own layers and customize it to match your exact needs. If you'd like to understand how to do that, stick around. I'll walk you through all the steps. Alright, let's start first with something I pulled from the internet. So I pulled the USDA reference for a budget. This is the link right here. So I just took that PDF. I just pulled it into, won't do an app script, and I just pulled it into ChatGPT, the text of the PDF, and then asked it to create a table like this because the PDF is, I'll just show you. The PDF is a bit different. It looks like this. So if you pull it as is, you can't really use it. Okay, so it looks like this, and I wanted a table where I have the age as a column, the sex as a column, and the three options. So you just need to do that. You can put it in ChatGPT and you can do that. You don't have to use the reference, but I just did. So that's part one. Then I have a family settings. So you select the food budget from a drop down. So data validation, just the drop down for this one. That's a range from the reference. So these three food budgets that were described. So liberal, moderate cost, low cost. Then you have a list with the names and the sex. So you have, let's say, Jim, Emma, Julie, David, and Tina. I don't know. So you got a list of names, their sex, and their birthday. Now I'm going to calculate their current age. So that's going to use round year frac from C4, which is the birthday, and today, and the round is for 1, so you get a rounded number of their age, so 47.1 through 4.8 based on their dates. Okay. Hidden here is the age index and the line for the sex. So the age index is going to match the current age. So match the value in column A, which is the age. Okay. And the search type is 1, which means it's going to be not the exact, but the largest value. So that's going to return an index for 47. Then I want to find what sex it's showing me. Is it male, female, or any? Because you saw that for children, they don't differentiate the sex. So that is the male, and any. All right. So I want to pull the right number. So if I'm a female, I want to pull this, and if I'm a male, I want to pull this. So that's why I use this function. I'm using offset, and I am basically looking for the row, this row, and if this is equal to any, if it's not any and it's not female, I'm just going to have the same line. Otherwise, for both cases, going to use a different line. And the cost is the match of the food, but it's pretty simple. So you just dynamically move. So if this person is now a male, so it shifts. Okay. So I got all the people here. I have the total for the family. That's going to be my monthly budget. That's the family settings. Now I have a spending log. I have a date, I have a store amount, category, and notes. And I just used ChatGPT, of course, to populate this list. So it just gave me some figures that I can use. And then I have this column which is called include. Basically, it's a filtering column that I use for the dashboard. So I'm just going to count how many times I have a no. So in case I have one no, I'm going to ignore the line. Otherwise, that's a yes. And right now, you don't see any no's. But if, for example, I'm going to filter based on a category, then all of a sudden I don't include these because they're different categories. So filtering category, if the dashboard here is blank, it's just going to show everything. Otherwise, I'm going to check if it's equal to the category. Same for the store. And the date range, I'm just going to check C and with these is that this date between them. And here I didn't give an option of blanks because I do want the person to select the dates, but theoretically, just like here, if it's blank, you could just use all and change the formula as you see fit. But anyhow, this is how the spending log. So every time you have a new spending, you just put it over here and add and add and add it, and everything else will be updated. So this spending log is connected to the dashboard database. So I have here 3 pivot tables. This one is the actual spent. To create a pivot table, that's very simple. You just highlight and I like to highlight the entire columns. Insert pivot table, new sheet. There you have it, pivot table. And then in my case, I created one for a date, month, and actual spent, so I'll recreate that. So I take the date as a row, and by default it's going to show me a specific date, but I don't want a specific date. I want it to be grouped into months. Right click, create pivot, date group, and you have year, month, which is really good. And then I'm going to use actual amount here in the values. And what I'm also going to do is add a slicer to this one, and you'll see it soon. But I created basically these 3 pivot tables, category and store. So again, if I want to switch from date to category, it's all the same, and to the store. And I think I also added a filter to it. Yeah, so I wanted to make sure I don't have those 0 lines because they just look bad. So I put the amount also in the filter, and I wanted to apply by condition is not empty. Okay, because I'm selecting the entire range, I basically it will include these empty lines, and I don't want that. So that's how you create the pivot tables, all 3. Okay, I don't need that anymore. And now what I also did, I added a slicer to them. So if you click data, add slicer, and I added the include slicer. Okay, and it's because these are all pivot tables linked to the same information or same data set, the filter will work for all 3. And I selected just the yes, so it looks like this. And then when you make changes, it will automatically update the dashboard with the include, because these are all live, and that's how these are updated. Because I'm not using a slicer here, you can't use it, unfortunately, not like in Excel, that because I would have done that. You cannot create a slicer here for the pivot table, which is here. So theoretically, I could have put all the dashboard information over here and hide that, but I'd rather just do it this way, and it's a nice trick. So using the slicer and a helping column, you can achieve that. So that's how it's being filtered. Here I'm checking if there's any filtering done for the store or category, and this is the budget number, the monthly budget. And what I'm doing here, I'm checking if you're filtering the category or store, because this number is only relevant for everything, right? Because that budget is not per certain category. So I don't want to show information if I'm selecting a category. I want this to be 0 or blank. That's why you see it says blank. Okay? Because I don't want to show a budget here and don't want to show a budget here, because then it's going to give you the wrong impression. Because this is the actual spent for groceries, not for the entire categories. So I don't want to compare those two. So that's why you don't see it, and that's why you don't see the budget or the line here in the dashboard. So if I bring it back, then you do see a budget and you do see a budget line. So that's the trick I applied here. This is a pivot table. Number of months, I'm going to count the number of columns, rows that I have -1 because minus the header. So I have 6 months, actual spent, and then I'm going to show the budget, which is going to be the multiply of the budget times the number here. So my budget is $1,500 per month times 6, so that's over 9,000, which makes sense. So that's how the dashboard is built. Last thing we do here is the dashboard itself. So to create the dashboard, I just change the color here to a grayish color, and I also removed the grid lines. So you do it by format. Where is it? I forgot. Maybe it is in view, show. Oh, grid lines. All right. That's just a cleaner look without the lines. I've created the filters. So again, this is a drop down, data validation from that range, and store from the spending log, and this is just data validation for a date. All right, as date is valid. So, and then I just created these charts, which are based on this. So just highlighting this area and creating a chart, very straightforward. And that's how you create a very simple but actually effective tracking system that you can use, and you can play with this, of course. Let's say just for June, so you see automatically everything will change based on whatever you set up. If I do just 1 month, those numbers change. You see everything changed. So I hope you found value in this video and what I showed you, and you can try and create your own file. The file is going to be available on my website as well if you want to purchase it. Leave a comment, always read them, and have a great day.